right, now on to skill 2.5 and 2.6. So 2.5 is using point slope to write your linear function, or the equation for a linear function. 2.6 is the idea about parallel and perpendicular lines. So we put them together because they're related in that all you need is a slope and a point to be able to create the equations. So number 17, notice you're literally given a slope, which means if you're using the idea of y equals mx plus b, your slope is this value right here. The only issue you run into is you don't have the y-intercept. And so therefore what we went over is point slope's really nice because it lets us quickly create the equation. And the way that I'll do that is I'm not going to use point slope, but instead I'm going to shift. I'm going to start at a new point, specifically the one they gave me. So this is what I'll do. The idea is instead of starting at -4, we want to make this go to 0. So how do I get -4, the x value, to go to 0? Well, if I add 4 to the x values, that will go to 0. So notice in the slope-intercept form, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the slope, -6. The x is going to then be added to 4. And the reason why is because if you plug in -4, notice this entire thing goes to 0, and that lets you start with whatever y value you want. In this case, I want to start with 5. So therefore, I put in +5, and you're finished. That's it. That's all it is. And the idea is you're just shifting where you're starting. Rather than starting at the y-intercept when x is 0, we're going to start when this x value goes to 0. Or in other words, -4. Okay, so now if we go to 18, notice they said we want the equation of a line that's parallel. So if something's parallel, that means it has the same slope. So therefore, if I look at this equation, I can identify which one is the slope. It's going to be the -2/15. So my slope will be -2/15. And then they say it has to pass through, or passes through, this point for 14. Well, really, that question just became question 17, because now I know the slope, and now I need to have the point. So all I need to do is, once again, start with the slope, -2/15. And now I need to change the x, so that way I can start at a new point. Since that's the x value here is 4, I need to subtract 4 from all the x values, so this will be x minus 4 inside. Once again, if you plug 4 in, all of this will go to 0, which then allows you to start with this y value of 14, and that is your equation, and you're finished. You don't have to simplify, you don't have to rewrite it into slope-intercept form, because once again, it asks just to create an equation. So therefore, you could have stopped right here. If we go to number 19, this one is perpendicular to this line. And notice, we don't necessarily care about the y-intercept for either of these questions. And the reason for that is all we care about to make a line parallel or a line that's perpendicular is the slope. We don't necessarily care about the 123 or the -3. So really, it's just there to throw you off, is really what it's there for. So remember, perpendicular lines, they intersect at a 90-degree angle. And the reason why they do that is related to their slope. So if this slope is 5/2, the same slope is going to be applied, but it's going to be rotated, which means that what was once the y value is now going to become the x value. What was once the x value, that's going to become the y value. So therefore, the slope switches. So you can see how this y value becomes the x, this x value becomes the y. We didn't change the value, we didn't change, in a sense, the slope, we just changed, in a sense, where it's going, which also means we changed the direction. So if this line was going up, that means the other line is going down. So our perpendicular slope will be the opposite reciprocal, or in other words, -2/5. So now it's the same problem as the previous two. I'm going to choose that point. Here we go. It's going to be -2/5. I need to get the x value to go to 0, so I will subtract 100 from the x values. And that will all go to 0 if I plug in 100, which allows me to start with -43. And there's your equation. And that's it. All right, so now let's talk about skill 2.7. So the big thing here is you're interpreting what's going on. So if you haven't read this problem, please do so. But the situation is presenting some kind of relationship between the average rating of a potato chip and its cost, because they were looking at the quality of the different kinds of chips. So the rating, it seems, if you look at the graph, is going up for the more pricier chips. You can kind of see, like here, this is 2.5 or $2.50. The rating for that chip is much higher than the chip that is only somewhere around $1. Okay, so it seems that as I have to pay more for the chip, the quality or the average rating for that chip increases. So what does the slope mean in this context? Well, here's your line of best fit, and they gave us the equation right here, this 5. The 5 is the slope. Well, remember, slope is y over x. Y over x. And since that 5 is really 5 over 1, that 5 really means the average rating. So the average rating for every one, what is that? Well, the x is $1. So in other words, for every $1, there seems to be an increase of a 5 rating. So that's literally what the slope means. So I will write for every $1, the rating, we'll say, increases, running out of space here, increases by 5. And that's it. That's all it is. Some of you kind of interpreted the slope kind of generally, like how it's going up 5 for every one, but really, what does it mean in context? You needed to be specific about that 5. If you just said that it seems like the cost, as it's increasing, the average rating increases, you're not wrong. It's just that you weren't specific enough about what that value here actually means. So now let's talk about the negative 6.2. What does the y-intercept mean in this context? Well, that would mean, if we look at the graph, if the chip was 0, where would it be? Or sorry, if the cost of the chip was 0, where would it be? It'd be down here at negative 6.2. And now notice that doesn't quite make a lot of sense to say if the chip was 0. Or in other words, if the chip was free, I guess we could say that the rating of it wasn't very good. So that negative 6.2 doesn't make a lot of sense in this context, because you can't have a negative rating unless people really hate it, I guess. So what would you say here? Well, there's two things I was looking for. One, if you said it wouldn't make any sense in context because you can't have a negative rating, I would have given it to you. If you had said that at $0, okay, the rating is negative 6.2, I would have taken it. And if you clarified it by which doesn't make sense, here we go, which doesn't make sense because we can just say because we don't have, or let's just say it this way, because we don't, it doesn't make sense to have a negative rating. That's really what it would mean, okay? So rather than writing it out, I'm just going to say it because I want to kind of speed up the video a little bit. But either of those would be fine. If you said at 0, the rating would be negative 6.2, which doesn't make any sense because you can't have a negative rating, that would have been fine, okay? Or if you just said it doesn't make any sense because you can't have a negative rating, I would be fine with that as well, okay? Excuse the bell. Now going on to the next question, they want you to create the equation for the line of best fit. Now here, there's a few different options you can go with, but most importantly, you need to find the slope, which they've given you 2 points. I can find the rise over run, or in other words, the slope, by figuring out what's the change in the y values. And it went from 17 to 69, which is plus 52. So add 52 there, so that's 52 over, let's look at the x values. It was at 2, went to 13. That increased by 11. So that would be my slope right there, 52 over 11. And now, if I want to use point slope, I certainly could, since I know that this point is on the line. I'll use 17, so therefore I will write it as x minus 2 plus 17, and there's my equation. I'm finished. If, for example, you wanted to ignore that fraction, that fraction as a slope, you could divide 52 by 11, and it would come out to be about 4.7, and we can kind of put that right there, okay? So the cool part about this is Number one, this is real, your guys' class data. This is what you guys came up with. If I took everyone's data for the Barbie bungee jump and put it together, this is what we would see. So this is real. This isn't made up. So what we're looking at is how do we interpret the slope? So you can interpret it two different ways. If you interpreted the slope of 52 over 11, that would mean for every 11 rubber bands, because again, X is on the bottom, for every 11 rubber bands, the amount, the vertical distance traveled is going to be 52 inches. So this is inches, and this is rubber bands. So if you said that, that would be acceptable. Another way you could have said it, if you use the 4.7, would be for every one rubber band, because again, 4.7 is 4.7 over 1. For every one rubber band, we travel about 4.7 inches. That would also be acceptable. So the idea here is you're making sense of the change of y over the change of x with the quantities, with what's said on the x and what is said on the y. So it's important for you to recognize that, because if you can't interpret the slope and just see it as numbers, you're missing out on the whole reason why we're studying this kind of a function. It's to make sense of the world around us. All right, so now see, if we were to drop, notice they've given you the height, or in other words, the vertical distance that needs to travel. That is the output. If that is the output, then I just need to use my equation to solve it. So remember, your output is the y value. It's the vertical distance traveled. So I'm going to use this second equation right here just because it's a little simpler with a decimal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to now solve for when this equals 420. Because I'm trying to figure out how many rubber bands, the x value. How many rubber bands do I need to get 420 inches? Remember, I'm using inches because, well, this is reported in inches. So if you use 35, you're going to come up with a much smaller answer than would make sense for this situation. So if I subtract 17, that would give me 403, which now I need to divide 403 by 4.7 to get rid of that multiplication, which, what would that equal? Let's see if I have a calculator by. There we go, pulling it up right now. 403 divided by 4.7. Oops, 4.7 comes out to be, oh, I did one too many numbers. There we go. Comes out to be about 85.7, so I'm going to round it to be about 86 because I don't want to deal with the decimal, and that's fine. And then we would still have the x minus 2. I would add the 8 and get an answer of about 88 rubber bands. So if you gave an answer somewhere around 88, that would be acceptable. When I say around, I'm talking within somewhere between like 85 to 89 range, okay, or even to 90. Something like that. And what I do want to say is some of you wrote this equation and you used kind of like the y-intercept of 9. So your equation would have just been 4.7x plus 9. And that would have been fine for now, as long as you used it correctly. So if you gave me an answer around 88, that would have worked. And that's it. So basically, you're interpreting your equation, and you're being able to use your equation. And the best thing I can say for you right now is think of it as what's given to you. In this case, it was the output, so therefore you have to find the input, which, by the way, is exactly what you were doing with skill 2.2 right here. Number 6. That is literally the exact same question. Maybe this one's a little more simpler because there's not as many words. And that's it. Thanks for watching.